Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Levi Telden, for the opportunity. It feels really good to take this off. I'm sure my wife and boys are watching me. I promise I'm not going to mention anything about politics. So, I was born in Russia, and both my mom and dad, they were born and raised in Russia during the World War II. I thank God every day they're still around together in one piece. We immigrated to Israel when I was about 2 years old. I was raised in Israel. I played outside soccer all day, every day. It was my life, soccer. We did not have smartphones or any of that cool stuff. Everyone was outside. Life was real fun back then in Israel. I'm sure it's not the same now. People are too busy with this stuff. In 1989, my parents decided to move to Brooklyn, New York. That was a big step. They believed that we will have better opportunity there. They were right. 6 days after I turned 16, I passed my first road test, and my older brother, he bought himself a new car. He gave me his old one. It can probably be heard idling maybe half a mile away. He had wheels, steering, some kind of brakes. I was happy. I had a job after school. I had a lot of friends, a lot of things to do at that age. I had everything to be happy for, but inside I wasn't. Something was missing. I grew up in Israel. I observed my brother, my father, neighbors, friends. They were all IDF soldiers. It was a daily thing. And I decided that I should go back. I can move on. It's still holding me back. And some friends and family would try to talk me out, say, what are you going to do going back to Israel? What are you going to accomplish there, being part of the IDF? You have everything what you need here. You already accomplished so much at your age. Unfortunately, I did not care what people tell me. I focus on what I think it's important for me and what I feel confident. I went back and I joined the IDF. It was not an easy thing. The most important, it was the most valuable experience of life. I was staged in the Ramat Golan, Golani Heights, for the artillery unit. I was assigned for the special artillery unit. My responsibility was to transport their equipment, mostly in Lebanon or borderlines. At real action, when real action to that place where it took place. My most exciting part was when we were in action in Lebanon. I'm just saying a little story. We were bombing, of course, and somebody would have a radio with the battery, with the antenna that we can catch a signal from Israel. And the most exciting part was how the news would report, Hamas is being heavily attacked by our unit. And that's what's time for L'chaim. It was our IDF celebration. Time went by. I never tried to be a hero or attempted to be one, but I was there. I was there to support my country. I sacrificed my life for them. The land that God gave to the Jewish people. Most important, I felt good about myself. Mission accomplished. I was relieved. After all, I decided to come back to New York for the same reason my parents did and the same reason many of us make this choice. We all have choices. A few months later, I met Veronica. We got to know each other better. We pretty much were in the same page. And we did not waste no time. We got married. Our first son was Benny. Second son, Ellie, he was born 4 years later. We decided to buy a house in north side of Pocono, Pennsylvania, because our oldest son had some issues. I will explain in a little bit. We moved to Pennsylvania. It was tough, but it was okay. I had a job promotion to relocate, and my wife Veronica did some research, and she said, San Antonio. She said. And also our third son was born in Pennsylvania, Avi. They all have Jewish names. So here we go, we moved to San Antonio. I was very disappointed with the job. They practically lied about job description, of course, and pay. We struggled for just a little bit for that moment. And very soon after, I discovered that San Antonio has a public transportation via Metropolitan Transit. I had no clue, we just moved. I didn't even know it was downtown. I came home excited, I applied, I sent in. They called me in pretty fast because of my experience. And from that moment, everything has changed. We got back on our feet. I still work for VIA, I'm a bus operator. I like what I do. I respect VIA for everything they've done for me, for what I am now, for everything what I was able to provide for my family. I like to be around people. I like to help people. It just takes some patience to understand people. That's all it takes. Now, my wife Veronica, she's a hardworking woman. She's a Russian woman. She will cross the limits, will work whatever needs, so our boys have everything what they need. And together we are a team. She also loves to study and learn. She invests a lot of time into that. Today she is an official licensed high school teaching for mathematics. And that's not an easy one. Now, my son Benny, I'm sure a lot of you who are listening know who he is. He graduated from Early College Academy. Today he's at his final year for his bachelor's. He just turned 19 last month. He's also part of the Hillel. He's the person in charge of introducing young adults to the Hillel, as well as organizing events. I am proud of him. Ellie, that's a big headache one. He is first lieutenant. He's part of the Civil Air Patrol at Randolph Air Force Base. And he's also a cybersecurity head team for his squadron. He's only 15 years old. And he's looking forward to be part of the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. We have a good mayor where we live in Converse. He's a good friend of ours. He's also looking forward to help him accomplish that. Now, Avi, he's a little guy. He's 12 years old. The good thing, he's a copy of his older brother. He does everything what his older brother does, but he's a very sharp mind. God willing, he's turning 13 next year, and we'll have his bar mitzvah here. Everyone is invited. Now, back to why we moved to Pennsylvania is that when we lived in New York, our oldest son Benny was constantly getting sick. He was practically living on the antibiotics. And he developed asthma and all kind of bad stuff. He ended up in the hospital a lot of times, to the point where his lung was just start shutting down. So it was obvious that he's not going up to be healthy. So we moved to Pennsylvania, north part of Pocono, where the environment, the air quality, it's pure, natural. He started to grow up to be a stronger boy. All his health issues, I can say, they were just wiped off, like nothing happened. It was not money involved. It was not doctor who cured him, but it was God who placed a pathway with bumps into our lives. And we struggle to get through those bumps and remain on those pathways with never questioning why or complain. We never considered San Antonio, Texas, or any part of Texas. For us, Texas, or for people who don't live in Texas, it's cactuses, desert, and cowboys. That's it. Now that we're here, after all, every moment, everything that approaches our life has a purpose. It's not necessary to ask why at that moment and start investigating. It's important to look in the eyes of that approach and to figure it out and step into it. Now everything makes sense in our life, why it happened. Thank you, everyone. Zai Gizun. Dobry wieczór. Erev Tov. Have a good evening, everyone. It was a pleasure.